Welcome to the Wealthy Wednesday show. I am your host, Luci McMonagle. Women are recreating the rules for business, leadership, money, and are changing the world by using her intuition. Each week, join me for empowering messages and interviews that will inspire, motivate, and transform you. Very special shout out to Gordon Weary for creating the music for this intro. You can find him on Facebook under Gordon Weary, that's Wery, or you can email him at gordon.weary@gmail.com. Now, let's get started. This is your host, Luci McMonagle. Today, I'm so incredibly excited. I have Nanci Adair, and she is a licensed therapist, a life coach, an artist, and an entrepreneur. And throughout her life, she has maintained a passion for the arts and for spiritual transformation. And she also is the No Excuse Coaches, where she helps you move forward in your life. She has a transformational book called Achieve the Summit of Your Dreams, and she also has You Can Do You Radio. So, Nanci, I'd like to bring you on to the Wealthy Wednesday show and tell us a little bit about how did you get to where you're at from where you were?
Okay, Luci, thank you so much for having me today. It's a delight. I love your Wealthy Wednesday show and everything about what you do, Luci. And a little bit, You Can Do is both a radio show that I host, but it's also a brand for just telling people that they can accomplish, they can do anything they put their mind and their heart to do. And what I do I really consider myself a mindset coach, is I help people clear away any of the blockages, whether that's the artist's block or the writer's block or just the I can't achieve it, I can't do it block. I love my mentor, which I know you know, Raven Blair Glover. She, will hear me say, I can't, and she'll start laughing and say, but you're the You Can Do coach. So I hold people accountable to being able to make the impossible possible, and no excuses.
Wow, and really understanding that you truly can make the impossible possible, because the word of it itself says, I am possible.
That's right.
So I'm possible. And you have a special blend of using the mastermind concept that Napoleon Hill came up with. Can you tell a little bit about his earthly riches and did you know he also had a virtual spiritual team on his plate?
Well, I think that's a lot of people are familiar with mastermind concepts, especially coaches. And in this industry of coaching, everybody's part of another mastermind, or lots of coaches have their own masterminds. And Napoleon Hill did really bring that to the general population. But what I've done is created a method of life coaching that I call the goal model method, GOAL model. So you have models of people that you've always aspired to be like, or that have inspired part of your work life or your personal life. And I take people through, in my book, Achieve the Summit of Your Dreams, I take them through the goal model method of life coaching to create a team of people. But the team does not have to be like a mastermind team, people that you get together with in person or on the telephone. They don't even have to be living, quite honestly. Some of my goal models are people like the late Maya Angelou, who I always loved, and Amelia Earhart, or, people that have inspired me. And even a lot of people that are familiar with mastermind team concepts, they don't know that Napoleon Hill had a similar team of people in his life that lived before him, that he was really admired and sought to live by some of their principles.
Wow. Well, can you tell us a little bit about how you came up with your team, your spiritual team for your mastermind, and then how does that translate into the you can do you?
Yeah, well, and you keep adding an extra U onto you can do. It's just
Oh, you can do.
ANDU. But I love that, Luci, the you can do you. Like, who are you? You know, who is the you, the big why, the why you have to give your contribution in the world? I really like that. So, you know, there are a lot of questions there all in one. Basically, I was on a research and development team with Dave Buck years and years ago. And he said the best way to market yourself is through your quirks. And at that time, I remember hanging up the phone and thinking, I'm just, you know, kind of a regular person. I'm not all that quirky. And I was still thinking about it the next day when I took my morning shower. And I kid you not, in my morning shower was Robin Williams, Maya Angelou, who I already mentioned, and a lot of comedians actually were in my shower. Ellen DeGeneres and Tom Hanks, and but also Neil Donald Walsh, who's a wonderful, you know, the author of Conversations with God, some spiritual leaders. Dave Buck was there. And I was thinking, you know, just say I start my day each and every day in the shower with Robin Williams, and it's a little quirky, you know. But what I had was these people that I admired. I had laminated their photos or their artwork, and I put those laminates up in my shower so that I began each day with inspired action, having a dialogue with people who I admired. And so that became the goal model method. I mean, that was the start of it.
Wow. Wow. So it's the you can do is the capital U, capital K, ANDU, and you have the you can do radio. Yeah. I was adding the extra U, so don't add the extra U.
But, you know, there's a wonderful little story about where the name you can do and that configuration instead of, you know, Y-O-U, you can, K-A-N-D, well, K-A-N, and then not even K-A-N, but you know what I'm trying to say. It's my own branding of you can do came from seeing this woman who was born in Nepal, whose name was Kandu, K-A-N-D-U. And she ran a tea house with her sister and always heard these stories of people climbing Mount Everest and other Himalayan mountains, you know, doing these great adventures. And she would hear them on the way up and on the way down from their expeditions. And she wanted to be a climber, but she really just wanted to be a Sherpa. And at that time in Nepal, there were no women Sherpas. So you'll especially love this, Luci, because I know you work with women entrepreneurs. So Kandu wanted to become a Sherpa, and that's the person that helps the climbers carry their wares up the mountain, you know, their tools and all the things that they need to be successful in their expedition. So she actually, it was kind of sad. There's a tragedy part of the story that her sister passed away. But she decided to sell the tea house. And with the money, she came to the United States and studied climbing. But she also fell in love with a Westerner. And then now travels back to Nepal just a couple of times a year to visit family and climb these mountains. So she actually exceeded her goal just by putting her passion out there and following her dream. So that's why there's an actual climbing expedition that I take people through in the book. And it's all about, you know, that first of all, I believe people start on top with that big vision of what they want.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Wow. Wow, I love that, Nanci. That is so inspirational to really understand that you can do. And by using the name can do is amazing. So, you know, does everyone suffer from, you were mentioning earlier that a lot of individuals might not be able to do what they want to do. They have something holding them back. It's usually called an inner critic, or it could be, there's so many different names for it. Can you tell us, does everybody have this negative Nelly, this inner critic that's inside of them, and what can they do about it?
I like what you just put your own spin on it, a negative Nelly. It's like, I believe that everybody does have that inner dialogue, whether it be for good or negatively. And I mean, everybody, like Oprah. Oprah calls them her basement days. You've probably heard that. I recently interviewed Eleanor Roosevelt's granddaughter, and she told me that Eleanor had what she called her Griselda moods. And Anne Roosevelt was curious about where the literary reference that her grandmother was using. And I looked it up, and the word Griselda came from a couple of German words, Gris and Hild, that meant dark battles. So everybody has those dark battles, but I believe that most of our dark battles are right in between here and here.
Yes.
And so, when you ask what can you do about it, I believe that this inner critic is why we, don't believe that we can be successful as artists or writers or whatever, there's a saying, sticks and stones can break my bones, but names will never hurt me.
That's what they say.
Yeah, well, I so don't agree with that. Names really hurt, and some of those things that we were told early on, you have it in your money stories, but the negative messages that we've adopted from an early age, that's often what's holding us back from being our true selves or truly successful in our life's work.
Wow. Yeah.
So I believe that everyone has that inner critic, even the most successful people. Oh, another example I have was Cicely Tyson.
Mm-hmm.
She she didn't interview, she auditioned for a part in Because of Winn-Dixie, and she didn't immediately get the part at the audition, and she wrote about coming home and spending 2 weeks in bed until she got that call that she had the job. And I was like, here is a woman who's, one of the great philanthropists in education and women's rights around the world, and as successful as you can be in your career. And she was in bed for 2 weeks.
Wow.
Just with that inner critic. And I really believe that you can't admonish. You can't get rid of the inner critic. I talk about giving those, I always have names for everything, Luci. Just got to get used to it with me. But I call them fear leaders. That we have, instead of cheerleaders, we have this team of fear leaders inside us that, come out at really pinnacle times when we really want something the most. And then, it's like, oh. And so I believe that if you push them away, if you try to get rid of your inner critic, it just comes back stronger. It's like if you run from your fears, they come back stronger. You have to run into them, toward them, embrace them, give these fear leaders a cup of tea. And then the method that I so believe in is that you call in your cheerleaders. Who is it that believes in you, and who is it that you admire that you can take some, a morning shower with? Or a woman friend of mine, a colleague and client, made actual coffee mugs with her goal models on them so that she'd have a morning cup of coffee with, whoever her goal model was.
Wow, that's really ingenious. I love that idea. And you really having tea with your fear leaders so that you can introduce them to your cheerleaders and start looking at it as a celebration, because a lot of times our fear leaders, they're there to keep us safe, and they're there to prevent us from getting hurt or being harmed in some way. And sometimes our fear leaders, they don't know the difference between the exhilaration and the excitement that we have on creating something, or the exhilaration and excitement that we have when we're running away from the grizzly bears. so, so that's...
In fact, in the brain chemistry, it's exactly the same.
Yes, it is. And I love your analogy. So I think I'm going to have my fear leaders for tea this evening. I like that. So can you tell us a little bit, you told us that you bring the cheerleaders in, and that you, instead of the fear leaders, you bring the cheerleaders in. Can you tell us a little bit on why we can't read this inner negativity, this fear leaders? Why can't we get a reading of it? And is the fear leaders better than the cheerleaders? Or how do you make them move forward so that they're not having people suffer anymore? Does that make sense?
No, not really, but I love where you're going, because I'm going to help you make sense of it.
Thank you.
When you said, Luci, that you'll have tea with your fear leaders, I really suggest that the fear leaders go have tea.
Oh, okay.
In the cheerleaders. So let me do a little bit of spot coaching with you, if you're game.
Absolutely. I'd love this. This is fun.
So, choose to bring into your mind one person that you've always held in admiration.
Okay.
All right.
Standing right there.
And what's her name?
Oprah.
Oprah. Okay. So I want you to name 3 qualities that Oprah embodies that just inspire you.
Freedom, inspiration, and global movement.
Okay. Freedom, inspiration,
and global movement.
Uh-huh. And impact, right? That's
yes.
How bold and big she is.
Yes.
So of those 3 characteristics, Luci, which one do you most fully embody yourself at the present moment?
I would have to say global movement impact.
Okay. And which of the 3, even if you feel that you have all the personal freedom that you want and the inspiration, you're inspiring to others, and you have this great impact on your global community, which one is more challenging than the rest?
I would have to say being an inspiration to everybody, and myself included, sometimes. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes, yes.
Okay. So this is the kind of, I mean, that's literally really a spot of how I do the coaching, because I ask people in my book to choose 10, select 10 goal models, and then look at 10 characteristics for each goal model. So they have 100 characteristics to start looking at. And then we go down to what are the 3 top common denominators among those goal models. And then the rest of the book is how you emulate and work with and have a regular dialogue with to work on that character development within yourself. So you'd be working on with your whole team how to be more inspirational.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And the name of your book is Achieve the Summit of Your Dreams.
Yes.
Wow. And you can get that on Amazon. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yes.
Wow. Wow.
And on my website, which is nanciadair.com. So my spelling of my name is like yours, with an I instead of a Y at the end. So it's nanciadair.com.
Right. So that's nanciadair.com. And we also, not that we're promoting, I mean, we're promoting your book, but we also have some other special goodies that Nanci's going to tell you about in a little bit. And her book is Achieve the Summit of Your Dreams. That's fabulous, Nanci. Can you tell us a little bit on, in your opinion, since you've been working with all of these thousands of individuals, you've been doing life coaching, you've been an entrepreneur, do successful people suffer in the same way that other people suffer? And do they actually need mindset coaching? Like you were mentioning, this lady, she was completely bedridden for an entire week, even though she's been really famous. Can you explain on how do successful people suffer?
I just don't believe any of us are, it's a part of the human condition. None of us are exempt, whether you're Oprah or Cicely Tyson, who was in bed for 2 weeks, or I don't know, just, I had a dream the other night. It's actually funny. It was a few months ago. I had this dream, and in the dream I was sharing a stage with Julia Roberts.
Wow.
And she was talking about getting some coach education in order to help her friends with their philanthropy, with their giving, and how to do that in a way that felt authentic and matched their passions in the world and with deep meaning. And I, in the dream, sat on this couch. You can imagine like an offstage room. And I was sitting on the couch with Julia Roberts, and I offered to coach her. And I thought that was like a wonderful success dream and kind of funny. And the next day I woke up, and my sister gave me a complimentary ticket to Pop Tech is the name of the conference. And I went that morning, and these tickets sold for several $100s a piece. And I went in and took my seat and got to see Alan Alda on stage.
Wow.
And he was wonderful. And what he said about improv and authenticity and interviewing experts, I loved the experience. It was about 20 minutes. And that was it. And I got out from the opera house, and I walked to my car, and I had parked my Mini Cooper right behind a car that said Pop Tech Celebrity Transport, and it was pulling out of its parking space. And I thought, I could follow that car and see if they're going around the back of the opera house to pick up Alan Alda, and then I thought better of it. It's like, I don't think he really wants to be stalked by humans. What was I going to do? Jump out of my vehicle and say, I just want to shake your hand, But what I did instead was say a prayer. And I asked to have a means of saying thank you to Alan Alda for what he shared. And then I went about my day. I actually went to play pickleball and a few other things in my day. And that evening at my sister's home, she entertained a woman who turned out to be Alan Alda's life coach.
Wow.
And she asked her, what were you doing up at Pop Tech? And she said, well, I'm Alan's coach. And I was like, can you get a thank you note to him for me? And she said, of course I can. And, I told her the dream, and she said, Julia Roberts probably needs your coaching. And that's a lot of what she does with Alan, is help him look at his philanthropy, his giving. And, I thought it was an outrageous thing, but it's so much our beliefs.
Yes.
Putting yourself behind what you're passionate about, following your dreams, literally following your dreams.
Absolutely. And I love your dreams, and I'm assured that you'll probably reach out and see if there's a connection that you'll be able to be connected to, and see if you can actually start coaching your favorite dream, Julia Roberts. Wow, I love that. That's so inspiring, and it's so exciting to really start knowing that when you start working with your cheerleaders, they come to you in your dreams, and when you start working with your spiritual team, whether it's people who are currently alive or people that have passed, as your mastermind team, that you can start having some incredible experiences in your life, and it also gives you more ideas, gives you more inspiration and more excitement too. Is that correct?
Absolutely correct. And one of the things that I talk about in the book and often share with my clients is to keep what I call record of evidence. So a journal about those coincidences, the coincidence or the God incidences, like being, just saying that prayer doing the next right thing, which wasn't to go stalk Alan, doing the next right thing by saying that prayer. And then I was given the opportunity, the route to say thank you and practicing gratitude. There are so many principles of our spiritual climbing that I do believe that brings about the monetary success as well, because the more abundance we have, the more we can share our gifts with the world.
Yes, that's so incredibly true. And speaking about our gifts to the world, could you tell us a little bit about the gift that you have for our viewers?
I do have a special gift because it's linked to what you do, Luci, in terms of abundance coaching. I have taken from original radio shows of Napoleon Hill, his talk about the earthly riches. And I broke down from his tapes 21 earthly riches that include things like having a pleasant personality. Mm-hmm. Or having that universal connectivity, that sense of being connected with the universe. And so I've created what I call a wealth wheel. And I have a very easy link. If people just come to my website at nanciadair.com, on the opt-in page for a free gift, they will get this wheel of wealth. And what it is just like a health wheel that people are really familiar with, looking at where are they in balance in their own health and wellness. I've taken that, but looked at it just with the earthly riches. Where are we in balance with our earthly wealth? And knowing that promotes wealth on every level.
Yes. Wow. And your website is www.nanci, Nanci, Adair, Adair.com. Is that correct?
That's right.
NanciAdair.com. Wow. So that's a fabulous, fabulous free gift that my audience, you, can get for yourself. And plus you can check out Nanci's website. You can get a hold of her book from her website, and you can also listen to her on her own radio show, which is UKandu. So thank you, Nanci. I really, really appreciate you being on the Wealthy Wednesday show. We're just about ready to wrap it up. Is there any last tips or strategies or ideas that you would like to leave the audience before we say our final farewells?
Just the believing in yourself, and if you don't, believe that I believe in you.
Yes.
And that's a great place to start.
That is a fabulous, great place to start. So thank you, Nanci, for believing in each and every one of my audiences and each and every one of my guests who are listening to this show. I really appreciate you. So I would like to say thank you for being on the Wealthy Wednesday show. And I would also like to thank my audience. You are the reason why I am creating the Wealthy Wednesday show every single week. I'm bringing you tips, strategies, and top experts for you so that you can learn, so you can grow, and so you can expand your influence so that you can have more money, more freedom, and more joy. So until next week, abundant blessings. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Wealthy Wednesday show. This is your host, Luci McMonagle, and I would love to keep in touch with you by giving you a very special gift that will help you move your business and your life forward. You can access this special gift I am giving to you at my website at lucimcmonagle.com. That's LuciMcMonagle.com for keeping in touch with me and getting access to a gift that will help you move your business and life forward. Until next time, abundant blessings.